Alright, hello gamers, Muckluck here, and we are back with our tour of all of the offensive DPS supports in Guild Wars 2. And today we are on the quickness providing Condi Firebrand. This one's a classic, this one's been around forever, so the various guild websites do have various ways of playing it. The first build I tried actually had, what was it, Axe Torch and Pistol. Another build website had Pistol Torch and Nothing Pistol, so you just swap the offhand when you weapon swap. I spent a few minutes on each one doing attempts. Now, of course, muck bad because I had not had a lot of time on Firebrand, but I got, in my early testing, the best results out of this one, so this is the one I stuck with. This was full Ritualist gear with Rune of the Trapper, Relic of the Fractal, Pistol Torch Pistol, and Bursting Smoldering, and so Smoldering on both of the offhand so that it's always in effect. Over here, these are the traits, these are the skills, and as always, I'm going to briefly show just an example of what it's like. This right here is Boon Table. This shows the percentage of the time during the fight that I have quickness, this right here, and I'm currently getting these boons from the testing console over there. So, we're gonna sneak up behind this guy, and we're gonna hit him to enter combat, and then we're gonna do this, and 5, 4, 2 in the tome, RT, and just gonna hit 4 and 4, and 2, and weapon swap 3, and then 5 for the big hit. Detonate it right after, and just do some other stuff. Hit the Q again, Purging Flames again, and 4, 5, and 2 again there. Now we got to stop all attacking to draw pretty Etch-a-Sketch pictures in the air, and do this, and weapon swap back to the Torch. Now currently I am at 98% quickness per uptime and 23k damage, so we're just gonna stop there and just, that's where it ends. All right, so there's that. Now, the only moment I didn't have quickness was right at the start of the fight. I had it up, you see 99% of the rest of the time, and then 23k when I stopped on the Golem. Okay, so I'm not perfect, but that shows I've got a basic understanding of how to play this. Now, how does this class work? Essentially, I'm gonna skip ahead for a second. I have never played any, in my tour of all the classes, I have never played another class that it took so many different buttons to upkeep one boon before now. Maybe the Chrono Shatter system, maybe. So it effectively feels like with this class that I've got 20 buttons and each one gives my group 1 second of quickness and I just need to do this. Like that's Firebrand gaming, all right? So right here, Tome of Justice, when I activate this, it does a bit of quickness. When I grant allies, when I use my heal skill, it grants 2 seconds of quickness. When I equip a virtue, it gives me 4 seconds of quickness, but not my allies. When I give a Aegis or Stability, I grant 2 seconds of quickness. Additionally, when I use this mantra, it gives my group 3 seconds of quickness. When I use Feel My Wrath, it gives my group 4 seconds of quickness. So you get the idea. We got a lot of things that give a few seconds of quickness, and we gotta beat the hell out of those keys. We gotta absolutely hit them a lot, all right? So, for quickness, what we need to do is use Feel My Wrath off cooldown. We need to use Mantra of Potence off cooldown. However, it's a cone. Your allies need to be in front of you. If not, you'll have quickness, but they won't. You want to use the last charge, the top charge of this, every time it comes up to trigger this. So whenever this hits max stacks, we use 1 charge of that, which is also a cone, okay? So we're using this off cooldown, we're using this off cooldown times 3, and we're using 1 of these off cooldown. We're using this off cooldown every time it lights up for damage. We're going into Tome of Justice to do a smorgasbord of boons. While we're in there, we do 5, 4, 2, and then leave the tome. It's just burning, and more burning. Don't even think about it. And then we've got our weapon skills. So very high APM because this button alone is 4 clicks per 20 seconds. This button alone is 4 clicks per 20 seconds. This is every time it lights up, which is 30 seconds. This is every time it lights up, which is 20. This is every time it gets max stacks, which is every 10 seconds. This takes 2 clicks to fire and holds 2 charges. So to use this button up, you have to hit 4, 4, and you would wait for it to run out, 4, 4. So this is 4 clicks each time this is fully charged. You wouldn't use it all at once like that, I'm giving an example. So not only does Firebrand have weapon, it's got 5 weapons, there's 25 buttons over here. You're not using them all, but just know that they're there. But in addition to that, some of the just individual buttons you have to hit a very large number of times. It is very high APM. So like while I'm doing this, do reset right here. See, I'm going to charge the mantras. which doing this during combat feels awful. Your charge mantra is like, I could be this skill, and this skill, I could do while doing things over here. So I could do like 2, 3, 4, and you notice over here, I'm hitting stuff too. And you need to be in that habit. It felt like I didn't have enough fingers. Like, you need to be hitting like these buttons over here while you're also hitting these over here to be optimal. Feel My Wrath has an extremely short cast time. You see that bar? Whoop, 1/4 second. So you can't use that while you're also doing other things. But at some point you need to, hit that as well. As far as the weapon skills go, at least with this setup, double tapping 4 is a ton of damage. The 3, and while standing in the 3, charging up the 5, doing the big blast and hitting the 5 again to detonate the bullet. For max damage, you stand in 3, hit 5, let it fully charge, fire it, wait for the bullet to pass through the enemy and hit 5 again to detonate it on the other side. I messed that up a ton of times, but that's what you're supposed to do for maximum damage. As mentioned, you just spam this every time it lights up, which is a lot. You spam this whenever it's full, you spam this when it lights up. This one is pure damage. Like, you spam this whenever it lights up, and it's 13k, 13k, 40k burning each time you've got all charges of the mantra. The rest of the stuff, when you go into the F1 tome, you just do 5-4-2. The 5 makes all your allies' attacks burn on the next hit. The 4 is big burning in an area. The 2 is big burning in an area, and then you leave the tome. F2 and F3, you don't really use unless you need them. The F3, however, gives your whole group Aegis right when you enter the tome. Good in a pinch. The F3 and then 3 skill is, of course, the classic Reflect Bubble. You should know where that button is if you're going to play this. F3 into 5 is Stability, but it has a cast time, so your healer probably has a better instant cast stability for your group, unless they're one of the rare healers that doesn't have it. I think that's it for that. Main notes about this spec. If you're playing this specific version, it's fully ranged. You want to be in melee range because like your symbols at your feet burn the enemies, stuff like that, but it is fully ranged, so if you have to run out for something, you can still be doing damage while you're outside of the stack until you come back in. That's nice. However, all your boons have, I believe, the worst application shape in the game, which is that little cone. So if you're in a stack of people and Billy's right there, you cannot give Billy the boons too, unless you do some weird, thing like this, but then you're not even facing the boss anymore. Like, if anyone's not in the stack, so it's like you get the stack and you back up, and then if someone doesn't realize what you're doing and they back up and they're behind you, you can't give them boons. Like, you basically give the boons in a tiny circle around you, and then the cone. And that's most of your important stuff is like that. Most of it is. So the Feel My Wrath is a radial. It's a small circle. The others are teeny tiny circle and the cone. So that is something you have to get used to if you're going to play this. I had boon table up for all the fights. For the first fight that we did, which I believe was Cosmic, I had really bad boon uptime on the party by the end of it because I was hitting the buttons and I had quickness, but I wasn't giving the team quickness because I wasn't aiming it at them. Like, I needed to turn and face them. I got better at that on the later strikes and had near 100% quickness uptime on the later ones, but that is something you have to get used to because literally no other class in the game besides Firebrand has to deal with these little cones like this. That's something unique to them. A couple of tricks I learned while doing this, besides like stand on the 3, charge the 5, let it pass through them, detonate it on the other side. The Purging Flames, very high damage move, has the exact same cooldown as Tome 5, so you can use Purging Flames as a kind of a timer to keep track of when your Tome 5 is back up, because you can't see the cooldowns of your other weapon sets, of course. So when that's back up, I know I can go back into this tome and do a lot of stuff in there again. That was a handy trick that I learned. You can do these while you're doing other things, except for the charging portion. When it's time to recharge the mantra and you do the long drawing in the air, you can't do that while you're doing other stuff. So, and that was another thing. Firebrand is one of the classes where their community is not in agreement on how to play, okay? Tempest was like this as well, and it's because the class has more than one option. That's the bottom line. It's not that there's right or wrong, there's different ways of doing it, and some are better at some things and some are better at others. Many people, while I was testing this on stream, told me, don't use the last charge of your mantra. And And then many people yelled, yes, do use the last charge of your mantra. I tried both. I gained like 1k DPS by using the last charge, so I started using the last charge. Many people saying use this weapon. You should be using axe, you should be using pistol, etc. Like there was a lot of back and forth on that. Some saying open tome 3 on rotation, others saying save tome 3 for when you need it. I chose to save tome 3 for when I needed it, things like that. Yeah, that's the gist of it. So the main things here, this is extremely high APM. This is very high APM. Like just the fact that just these 2 buttons here are 8 clicks per 20 seconds. Like in those 2 keys, okay? That's not counting anything else. There's many of the buttons that are ammo system and have charges. Like this is 4 clicks to exhaust. This is 4 clicks to exhaust. This is 4 clicks to exhaust. And then you've got the tomes and stuff to learn too. So there is a lot to learn here as far as like all the weapons. However, nowhere today did I have to learn what's in Tome of Resolve. As a Condi Quickness Firebrand, I didn't. This is more of like the healer tome. I never had to go into this. So I still don't know those buttons by heart. I know in this tome, the 3 button is the lovely Reflect Bubble, and the 5 gives my group stability. I don't know what the other buttons do at this time. I don't have them memorized. The F1 tome is, of course, the damage one. This is the one that you use a lot as this build. So you don't have to memorize the 25 skills right out the gate, but, of course, you would eventually want to do that. High APM and the cones. That's mainly it. Now, once again, Guardian, I've mentioned this in other builds, they have one of the best toolboxes in the game. If you need to, here's a Reflect, Wall of Reflection. Firebrand specifically has a second Reflect with this. If you use Sanctuary and put this on an enemy, it will attempt to knock them out of it 7 times with a trait and do 7 knockback CCs. And the full duration of that is one of the largest CCs in the game. Excellent tool. Advance, the ability to instant cast, give your group Aegis, and it has charges. You can have multiple charges. Stand your ground. The ability to instant cast, give your whole party a lot of stability and a stun break. One of the best stun breaks in the game. It works on the whole group. There is a lot of skills in here that are tremendously good for what they do, and they're available to Guardians. So, once again, this class has an amazing toolbox to pull from. There is a lot to learn to figure it out, but if you spend time on it and doing that, you would absolutely be a huge asset to your party. For me personally, I did not enjoy my time on this one. This is a personal note, just my own personal note, because of the extreme APM. Like, I don't mind decent APM, but just like this one button just RT, 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 and then 20 seconds later having to recharge them both and then do that again. So yeah, I needed like an auto clicker on those 2 keys constantly, and it felt kind of silly. Like I wish that just for me as an outsider trying this, it's like rather than having to mash this button repeatedly for 1 to 2 seconds of quickness each time, can I just hit it 1 time for 8 seconds of quickness on a 20-second cooldown, please? Like it seemed a bit ridiculous having to just beat the hell out of these keys for 2 to 3 seconds of quickness per click. But that's how it is. That's how it's set up. And in the case of this one, it was just damage. That one's just damage. So very, very high APM. You would need to get used to doing multiple things at the same time because you can use the mantra charges and do weapon skills simultaneously. So your fingers get kind of tangled until you get used to that. And the cones. The cones, as mentioned, you've got the worst boon application shape in the game. So you have to get used to that because just because you've got quickness does not mean your team has quickness. So you need to make sure you're giving it to the rest of the party. But then, as I said, very extreme amount of utility, some of the best in the game that they can bring to a group. I love to always have a very skilled Firebrand in my team, but I don't want to play it. And if you got any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, or want to tell me how I did it wrong, you are welcome to put it in the comments down below. I'll fight you there. And for those interested in the guides I use to learn how to play this, I will link those in the description.